Hello, check. Of the hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Check one. Hello, test. Check. Hello, hello, one, one, two. Hello, hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Check one. One, two. Test. Hello, hello, check. Check one. Hello, check. Test one. Hello, hello, check. Check one. Hello, hello, one, one, two. Hello, hello, check. Check one, one, two, one, two. Test. Hello, check. Hello, hello, check.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. May I request all of you to please turn off your cellular devices. For those joining online, please put your phone on mute as we will be starting today's event UTSAV 2023 shortly. Now, this one. Wait.
Good morning, everyone. The Honorable Minister has arrived at the campus and will be laying the foundation stone for the Medical Research Center and hostel buildings. THSTI is in the process of establishing a 50-bedded medical research center, an important research facility at the NCR Biotech Science Cluster. The MRC will function as a dedicated center for clinical research with the primary objectives of conducting phase 1 and 2 clinical trials for therapeutic studies on new molecules, establishing human challenge models for vaccine efficacy, follow-up of cohort and other observational studies undertaken by the cluster. The MRC will be integrated with various core areas of THSTI, such as CDSA, Bioassay Lab, Biorepository, and clinical teams involved in cohort studies and clinical trials. The Honorable Minister is laying the foundation stone for MRC, which is Medical Research Center.
The Honorable Minister is moving on to the site for Translational Research Lab building. ट्रांसलेशनल रिसर्च लेबोरेटरी इंडीसीपी मिशन के एक भाग के रूप में एनसीआरबीएससी को प्रारंभिक चरण के टीका के विकास की सुविधा के लिए प्रयोगशालाओं को विकसित करने की आवश्यकता है। इस संबंध में टीएचएसटीआई एक दूसरे अनुसंधान भवन की स्थापना करेगा, जिसमें डीबीटी द्वारा अनिवार्य रूप से शुरुआती चरण के टीके के विकास के लिए अत्याधुनिक ट्रांसलेशन प्रयोगशालाएं होंगी और बायोरिपोजिटरी सुविधा के साथ साथ छोटे और मध्यम आकार के उद्यम के लिए जगह सहित संबंधित सुविधाएं दी जाएंगी।
The Honorable Minister is now moving on to the site for the Translational Research Lab building.
Let me see. The Honorable Minister is now at the site and is laying foundation.
Since the Minister is unveiling the sites, Bharat will brief on the accomplishments of THSTI till date.
ट्रांसलेशनल हेल्थ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी इंस्टीट्यूट डीबीटी का एक प्रमुख संस्थान मानव स्वास्थ्य में सुधार के लिए अत्याधुनिक क्लिनिकल ट्रांसलेशन और बुनियादी अनुसंधान में लगा हुआ है। जोर देने वाले क्षेत्र मातृ एवं शिशु स्वास्थ्य, टीका, क्षय रोग, विषाणु विज्ञान और निदान है। टीएचएसटीआई ने प्रबंधन प्रोटोकॉल को बदलने की क्षमता के साथ समय से पहले जन्म के कारणों को समझने के लिए 12,000 से अधिक गर्भवती महिलाओं और 5,000 से अधिक शिशुओं के जन्म समूह का सबसे बड़ा समूह विकसित किया है। टीएचएसटीआई ने एक सार्स-कोव-2 टीका विकसित किया है जिसके नैदानिक परीक्षण के पहले चरण में जाने की संभावना है। टीएचएसटीआई सेपी से $12 मिलियन की फंडिंग के माध्यम से एक पैन बीटा कोरोना वैक्सीन विकसित कर रहा है। टीएचएसटीआई के वैज्ञानिकों ने कई पुरस्कार भी प्राप्त किए हैं, 4 तकनीकों को स्थानांतरित किया है, 4 पेटेंट प्राप्त किए हैं और 70 से अधिक पत्र प्रकाशित किए हैं।
The Minister is now approaching the MK Ban Auditorium for the main event of the day. A very good morning to all of you. I, Kamlapriya and Bharat extend a warm welcome to all the dignitaries, guests, faculty and colleagues who have joined us to celebrate UTSAV 2023, Unveiling THSTI Scientific Achievements and Vision, a day to celebrate our successes and work towards our challenges. To begin the event, I would like to first call upon our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, Minister of Science, Independent Charge, and Minister of Science and Technology, Independent Charge and Earth Sciences, Government of India, and our Executive Director, Professor Pramod Gar, to the stage.
मैं अनुरोध करता हूं हमारे THSTI के विद्यार्थियों से कि वो माननीय अतिथियों का हर्षित स्वागत करें।
Now, we request Professor Shinjini Bhatnagar, Professor of Eminence at THSTI, to deliver the welcome address.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. On behalf of THSTI, it's an absolute honor to welcome you, sir, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, our Honorable Minister, as we launch another important initiative with your support towards our committed mandate. So it's very encouraging for each one of us here that you, despite being so busy and with your very hectic schedule, you've always been around. That you've always been around and have come today and in the past to support us as we move forward on our journey of finding solutions for public good. As a physician and as a physician researcher, we are confident that you understand THSTI vision the best. And we are grateful for your support, your hand-holding, and all the encouragement that you have given us in the past and now. So a very warm welcome. A warm welcome to our Secretary, Dr. Rajesh Kokle, who is joined virtually, and to our DBT officers here, Dr. Jyoti Logani and Dr. Vandana Prajapati. Warm welcome to you. Also extend our welcome to Dr. Sudhanshu Rati, other members of DBT institutes, Mr. Yadav, the Deputy Commissioner, Faridabad, and to all our collaborators, colleagues, and other friends who are in the audience today to join us for this program. Very warm welcome.
धन्यवाद महोदया.
We now request Professor Pramod Gar, our Executive Director, to give us introductory address. Dr. Pramod Gar did his MBBS, followed by
आदरणीय मंत्री महोदय, सर से नो, सर वो नो, सर को आदरणीय मंत्री महोदय डॉक्टर जितेंद्र सिंह जी, dignitaries who have graced the occasion, my faculty, scientists, students, staff, सबसे पहले मैं मंत्री जी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूं कि उन्होंने बहुत ही बिजी शेड्यूल में टाइम निकाला हमारे लिए, और आज मैं समझता हूं एक नया चैप्टर यहां जुड़ गया है जिसमें सर ने 120 करोड़ की लागत से बनने वाले 3 मेजर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स को लॉन्च किया है. सर आप पहले भी आए और पहले भी आपने बहुत एनकरेजमेंट दिया, और आपके कर कमलों से ही हमारी 3-4 और भी फैसिलिटीज़ पहले आपने इनॉग्रेट करी थी. और मेरी आपसे गुजारिश रहेगी कि ये नई जो फैसिलिटी आज आपने जिसका फाउंडेशन स्टोन रखा है वो नेक्स्ट ईयर उसमें से बन के 2 तो जरूर तैयार हो जाएंगी, तो आप ही से उनका इनॉग्रेशन कराना है सर. मेडिकल रिसर्च सेंटर एक सर थोड़ा सा नॉवल आइडिया है, बट ये पहले से THSTI के मैंडेट में कैबिनेट नोट में लिखा हुआ था कि THSTI जो ट्रांसलेशनल हेल्थ साइंस है वो हम अपने प्रोडक्ट जो बनाएंगे, चाहे वो वैक्सीन हो, चाहे मॉलिक्यूल्स हो, चाहे डायग्नोस्टिक्स हो, पास अगर अपनी मेडिकल फैसिलिटी होगी, मेडिकल सेंटर होगा, क्योंकि एक रिसर्च सेंटर होगा, तो हम वो चीज़ें वहाँ टेस्ट कर सकते हैं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल ऑब्जर्वेशनल कोहॉर्ट स्टडीज एंड फेज 1 फेज 2 क्लिनिकल ट्रायल्स. हमने प्रोविजन भी रखा है सर ह्यूमन चैलेंज मॉडल, जैसे कोविड के टाइम में बात हुई थी कि ह्यूमन चैलेंज मॉडल बहुत क्विकली वी कैन इवेल्युएट अ वैक्सीन इफ यू हैव अ ह्यूमन चैलेंज मॉडल. वेस्ट में, यूएस में, यूके में ये चीज़ प्रेवलेंट है, और मैं वहाँ पे विजिट भी करके आया हूँ और मैंने देखा कि कोई बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स चीज़ नहीं है. और अब जो हमने डिज़ाइन बनाया इसका उसी हिसाब से है कि हम यहाँ पे फ्यूचर में ह्यूमन चैलेंज स्टडीज भी कर सकते हैं एज एंड व्हेन द नीड अराइजेस. बट ऑब्जर्वेशनल कोहॉर्ट स्टडीज और फेज 1 फेज 2 ट्रायल्स वो शुरुआत में ही हो सकते हैं सर. तो ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक एडिशन होगा सर. THSTI के बारे में अभी एक छोटा सा वीडियो भी आपसे लॉन्च होगा, और कुछ हमारे फैकल्टी जो हैं कुछ प्रेजेंटेशन देंगे, तो मैं उसकी डिटेल में नहीं आज जा रहा हूँ. बट मैं आपको कुछ ये बताना चाह रहा हूँ, हमने पिछले 2-3 वर्षों में जो चीज़ें नई करी हैं, एक तो सर हमने 3 न्यू कोर्सेज लॉन्च करे. एक MSc इन क्लिनिकल रिसर्च है जो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है. एक हम वैक्सीनोलॉजी कोर्स शुरू कर रहे हैं, और एक सर बायो डिजाइन का कोर्स शुरू कर रहे हैं जो कि DBT से फंडेड है, और उसमें हम नए डायग्नोस्टिक्स बनाएंगे जो कि कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव और इनोवेटिव होंगे सर. तो 3 कोर्सेज हमारे शुरू हो गए. टीबी के लिए सर 4 मॉलिक्यूल ऐसे हैं जो कि आगे जाने की बहुत पोटेंशियल है. एक ऐसा है जो कि लार्ज स्टॉक स्टडीज के लिए रुका हुआ है, उसके बाद फेज 1 फेज 2 में जा सकता है. इसी तरह से डेंगू में सर 3 ड्रग्स हैं जो यहाँ पे टेस्ट हुई हैं, और हमारा कोलिशन है DNDI के साथ और कई और कंट्रीज के साथ. तो हमें लगता है कि इस साल के एंड तक कम से कम एक मेडिसिन उसमें से ऐसी है जो कि डेंगू के लिए क्लिनिकल ट्रायल में जा सकती है. 3 वैक्सीन हमारी जो अभी बन रही हैं सर. एक इन्फ्लुएंजा की वैक्सीन है, हमें बहुत उम्मीद है, जो कि कई मल्टीपल पार्टनर्स हैं, वो शायद बनकर तैयार हो अगले 1 साल में. कोविड की एक जो वैक्सीन हमने बनाई जिसमें ओमिक्रॉन का एक एपिटोप है सर, वो होपफुली अगले 2 से 3 महीने के अंदर फेज 1 ट्रायल में जा सकता है, जो यहाँ पे वैक्सीन बनी है. और तीसरी एक पैन बीटा कोरोना वायरस वैक्सीन है जिसके बारे में छोटा सा प्रेजेंटेशन भी होगा, वो भी हम उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि अगले 1 से 2 साल वर्षों में तैयार हो सकती है. और हमारे पास बाकी सारी फैसिलिटीज हैं जिनका थोड़ा सा जिक्र उस वीडियो में भी होगा. फ्यूचर में मुझे लगता है कि अगले विद इन नेक्स्ट 1 to 2 years we should have at least 2 vaccines and 2 drugs which will go into clinical trials from THSTI, and I hope the MRC will become functional by that time. हमारे पास सर आप लोग से बहुत ज़्यादा सपोर्ट है. वी आर एक्सट्रीमली थैंकफुल टू मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी, डिपार्टमेंट बायोटेक्नोलॉजी, your kind self, sir, and Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, the Secretary DBT. They have actually, all of you have actually helped THSTI grow into a very good institution, although it is a relatively young institution. The only challenge we have, sir, the number of faculty positions that we have is somewhat less, and I have been assured, and I will request you, sir, to give us more faculty positions. With this, I will end my address. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. In the spirit of celebrating the UTSAV 2023, let us hear from her scientists about the accomplishments and novel innovations in public health. We would call upon stage Dr. Shinjini Bhatnagar, Professor of Eminence, Dr. Guru Prasad Mediheshi, Professor, Dr. Sweetie Samal, Principal Scientist 2, Dr. Babatush Das, Associate Professor, Dr. Dinesh Mahajan, Associate Professor, Dr. Shailendra Astana, Principal Scientist 1.
So driven by the background that India contributes to almost 20% of the global neonatal deaths, where preterm birth is one of the largest constituents. And in order to contribute to the sustainable development goals to reduce neonatal mortality rate and then bring down the high infant mortality rate, we have established a program called Garbhani, which is an interdisciplinary group for advanced research on birth outcomes, a DBT India initiative, which is an interesting collaboration between research institutes and district and tertiary hospitals. Our deliverables or our proposed deliverables where we are reaching now is to identify tools, develop tools for early prediction and prevention of adverse pregnancy outcomes, which are focused in small hospitals. And given the position that we are in with being an interdisciplinary group, these are going to be these are emerging out of ultrasound images, epi and clinical risk factors, and multi-omics analysis. We have established a cohort of pregnant women in a district hospital in Gurgaon, and we are happy to say today that we are one of the largest pregnancy cohort and the largest biorepository of maternal and child health biospecimens in Southeast Asia, and the largest repository of longitudinal fetal ultrasound images. We have documented systematically for the first time in India using ultrasound dating that preterm birth is at the rate of 13%, which is very high, and also have high adverse outcomes in small for gestational age and stillbirth rate. What is important is that we have identified modifiable clinical and environmental risk indicators for preterm birth, which can inform intervention policy with immediate public health implications. And some of the risk factors that are seen here, obesity and decrease in cervical length. But what is interesting is the use of biomass fuel. And doing a deeper dive in that, we've seen that ambient air pollution beyond a certain threshold in the first trimester reduces pregnancy duration as well as the cervical length. And now what we're going ahead is with IIT Madras, with their low-cost sensors, doing personalized exposure in pregnant women to find defined thresholds during pregnancy where we can intervene. We have region-specific gestational weight gain and fetal growth charts across pregnancy. And as you can see here, when they're plotted against the international standards, our mothers are not gaining weight as well as the global standards, and our fetus is growing much slower than them. And now we are looking at association of adverse outcomes based on this. almost 50% of our participants are deficient in zinc, iron, B12, and vitamin D early in pregnancy. We're looking at novel micronutrient analysis, especially selenium and copper, because these are associated with implantation. Our prevalence of DDM is as high as 13% in a secondary care setting. And what we are now looking at is early and mid-trimester maternal glycemic status, which could be associated with fetal growth and neonatal outcomes. And are these actually having a transgenerational effect and long-term effects on the thing? What we have are the AI ultrasound-driven tools for early identification and prevention. And these tools, as we talk, we're discussing about these tools to set up various cohorts in the country so that they can be validated, clinically deployed through regulatory approvals, and then go in as dating tools and quality assessment and non-imaging based triaging tools in the secondary care settings. We have omics markers, the first genomic-wide association analysis of preterm birth in Southeast Asia. We have now a panel of proteins and metabolites ready for ELISA-based POCT biomarkers, specific lactobacilli species-based diagnostic tools for picking up preterm birth, and also potential therapeutic tools for probiotics. Lastly, as we move forward, we know that this is going to be of no meaning unless we actually study our babies. So now we're going ahead with looking at growth trajectories and metabolic fitness of birth phenotypes, neurodevelopment and their neurodevelopment, which actually strengthens the Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram to identify the high-risk children, and we are part of the WHO GSED. The GSED tools for setting the global norms and standards for cognitive development. So have we had challenges? Many, but we are still managed some of these national platforms, but we are also now being invited by many global consortiums to be part of the larger maternal child health research initiatives. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so I'm going to briefly give a glimpse of what we have done during COVID-19 in terms of supporting vaccines, variants, and diagnostics. So when the first vaccine was rolled out, it was very clear that a global effort is required for making everybody safe. And that's when the universal aspirations that may everybody be free from disease was our motto. So the BioCell lab, which was established during COVID time, became part of CEPI network. We are one of the 9 laboratories now in the world who is playing a key role in pandemic preparedness efforts. So we have validated and accredited serological, molecular, and immunological assays for a number of viruses. So we have used these assays now to support not only the first subunit vaccine in India, but also vaccine efforts across the world from South Korea, Netherlands, Taiwan, Vietnam, Thailand. So now many more countries are actually approaching THSTI to help further their vaccine development efforts. We have also supported a number of diagnostic companies in India. All of them actually have came to THSTI because we were the only functional institute at that time in Delhi. So we have supported more than 35 companies to develop their vaccines. This is the only lab in India now actually supporting COVID-19 vaccine development across the world, including WHO now. We are partnering with WHO to further their vaccine trials. We were part of all the clinical trials that Biological E conducted, and we have tested more than 5,000 samples here for virus neutralization, which led to the licensure of India's first subunit vaccine. And this vaccine also showed that actually marginally better than Covishield. And all our data was published in peer-reviewed publications. And it was very clear that we need to actually keep pace with the variants. This was a fast evolving virus. So we created an ecosystem where BioCell Laboratory actually isolated every variant that actually emerged. And we cultured the virus, we isolated, we established protocols for neutralization. We distributed these protocols not only to CEPI, to many other labs where they could also conduct neutralization studies. And we are now part of large serosurveillance studies in the country, looking at seroprevalence and longevity of immune responses. So Omicron, when it emerged, we were the first lab in India to isolate Omicron. And we clearly showed that the people who had vaccinated and who were also infected with virus actually had enough antibodies to even neutralize Omicron. And we published this data long ago. And we also showed that compared to Delta variant, actually Omicron is less cytopathic. Therefore, it's not going to cause severe disease. And we showed then that people who actually got naturally infected with Omicron were generating good enough antibodies across Omicron sublineages, and it was protective by neutralization assays. So all these are now in peer-reviewed publications. So we have supported a number of national and international companies. We have processed over 13,000 samples this year also. Consistently more than 50,000 samples have been tested at THSTI. And number of our data actually are in peer-reviewed publications, which shows that we have contributed to a number of research studies. Our future direction is really aligning with CEPI for pandemic preparedness, getting vaccines faster. We want to become a reference lab for emerging pathogens. We are investing heavily on antiviral platforms. And we have a grant now for Nipah and Hendra viruses to really develop antivirals for these viruses. And this is the team which I have to acknowledge, and Professor Garg and all the administrative support we have from DBT also. Thank you.
A very good morning, everyone, and thank you, sir, for your precious presence. Today, I'm going to briefly tell you about our efforts on the development of the pan-beta coronavirus vaccine by using a multi-domain self-assembled nanoparticle-based vaccine platform, which has been developed by THSTI. We all know the coronavirus consists of a large number of viruses, which has the capability to spill over from animal to human. And in the last decade, we have seen 3 major outbreaks, and COVID-19, we all have seen the impact. So one of the dream vaccine will be to develop a universal beta corona vaccine, the holy grail, the vaccine that is aimed to protect against many coronaviruses at once. So here we have taken 3 viruses, SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, the major variant of concern which is circulating, and the MERS virus. And we are focusing on the major protein spike RBD, and the approach is to take the different spike protein from different viruses or variants or their domains and staple into one vehicle so that it can serve you as a vaccine particle. So to do this, we have developed a vaccine platform, not only the vaccine, a vaccine platform where multi-domains can be stitched into a vehicle, which is a non-structured protein, and it assembled in a bacterial expression system to give you a protein-based soluble-based vaccine, and which can be act as a vaccine. So it has a flexibility where multiple domains can be stapled. It has a very convenient and robust expression system. It is highly stable and can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade for many months. So as a proof of concept, we have already developed an indigenous multivalent nanocage-based vaccine against the SARS-CoV-2 variants, where we have stitched the epitopes of the Wuhan, Alpha, and Omicron, and this has been transferred to the Panacea Biotech industry. And we have seen complete protection against the Wuhan challenge, and it also saw very good neutralization against the Omicron variants. And already we have developed the drug substance. The drug product is under development, and very soon we will enter into the human phase 1 safety trial. Based on the technology, it has been recognized in the international platform by CEPI, and we received a $12.5 million grant in the consortia, which consists of the industry, a funding, and the academic institute. And this novel technology platform has widely recognized by all the international consortia who is working on the vaccine development, and we are one among the 3 institutes in all over the world who are working on the pan-beta corona vaccine. So we have already identified the hit and the vaccine. We have screened around 16 antigen, out of which few of the antigens will enter into the preclinical study against SARS, MERS, and SARS-CoV-2. And here you can see it gives a very good immune response against multiple variants, including the MERS, SARS, all kind of COVID-2 variants, including the Omicron. It also induces a very good T cell response and also neutralizing response. So this is not only a vaccine we are giving, but we have developed an indigenous promising vaccine platform which can act for many emerging and re-emerging viruses, and we have also already initiated work on monkeypox, Zika, and Japanese encephalitis virus. And thank you for the visionary leadership, teamwork, and the strategic planning, and all the support from the government, which we feel and proud that is actually Make in India, where we have translated the concept from the lab notebook to a product. Thank you very much.
So thank you, everyone. And because of the time constraint, I'm not going to details about the microbiome. Just I'll present 2 slides to give you an overview what are the major microbiome research we are doing in the THSTI. So this is the one slide just you need to focus that we have initiated the human microbiome project in the India. Majorly, we are focusing on the gut microbiome study. We are trying to first establish the baseline microbiome of the healthy Indians, and then we are comparing the differences of the microbiome compositions with the people suffering different health disorder. Major focus we have particularly on the inflammatory bowel disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and also type 2 diabetes. Other than that, we have also initiated another one major research work on the reproductive tract microbiome. In the reproductive tract microbiome, we are trying to identify role of the vaginal microbiota in the preterm birth outcomes. What actually we came to conclusion after doing all the microbiome study, that the human microbiome actually we have the 2 states. One called the homeostasis, that is basically healthy states. Second one is the dysbiosis, that is the disease associated states. And the disease associated state, particularly the microbes, they secrete some metabolites that cause the problems. So in addition to doing microbiome study, we have developed recently a product that will help us to sample collection, transport, and storage, like COVID, what use people for the VTM. So this product is developed in THSTI. Now the technology is transferred to a company, and this product is commercially available in the markets. So we have another very close study just to do this, the district-based detection of the microbiota that is related with the birth outcomes. And the final slides we are doing that we have also initiated one research that particularly understand the genomic nature of antibiotic resistant genes in clinically important bacterial pathogens. We have collected those samples from the sepsis, diarrhea, pneumonia, and also other chronic diseases. And when we did their individual genome sequencing, we could find that this resistance is coming because of the acquisitions of the functions. And we also developed another one assay to just tackle the drug resistance bacterial pathogens, and we also filed this one for the patents. With that, I'd like to thank you. Thank you for your kind courtesies.
We'll be talking about drug discovery efforts and achievements of THSTI. I will stay focused on 3 diseases today: tuberculosis, NAFLD, and dengue. Although we are working on other diseases also like AMR and IBD and other viral infections also. So on tuberculosis, we have a lead molecule SPR113, which has been done. We are done with all the preclinical development, and we also completed rodent tox studies. The only thing pending is large animal tox. And once we are done with the large animal tox, we will go for phase 1 clinical trials. We also have 3 follow-up leads having different mechanism of action. So for tuberculosis, we have a healthy pipeline, and we are hopeful that in next 2 years, we will have 1 molecule in phase 1 clinical trial. For dengue, we have established animal model in-house and also global alliance to reposition drugs directly to phase 2 clinical trial. And based on in-house efforts under this global alliance, we have nalfinavir, which we are looking forward next 6 months to a year for phase 2 clinical trial. We have established efficacy of nalfinavir in animal model. For NAFLD, we have one strong collaboration with Dabur, where we are kind of validating traditional medicine and practice using modern science tools and experiments for NAFLD. And we have a plan of developing herbal extract as a therapeutic option for fatty liver. And on small molecule efforts, we had DR62, which is a small molecule orally bioavailable. And we also established proof of concept in animal models. So this is kind of summary for drug discovery efforts, and these are lead molecules. Thank you.
मैं धन्यवाद करता हूं हमारे वैज्ञानिकों का जिन्होंने THSTI की उपलब्धियों को इतने अद्भुत रूप से दर्शाया है।
We would like to commemorate this occasion by having our Honorable Minister to launch the documentary video on THSTI scientific achievements that have great translational potential.
Translational health. Translational Health Science and Technology Institute, THSTI, a premier institute of DBT, is engaged in cutting-edge clinical, translational, and basic science research to improve human health by translating fundamental discoveries from bench to bedside.
Translational Health Science and Technology Institute, or THSTI, is a relatively young autonomous institute under Department of Biotechnology. THSTI is engaged in basic science, translation science, and clinical research. Our effort is to translate the observations and findings from basic sciences and clinical research to improve human health in a cost-effective manner.
THSTI's Centers of Excellence focus on niche areas and integrate the fields of medicine, science, and technology for transforming human health through biotechnological innovations and made-in-India solutions. Center for Maternal and Child Health. The Center for Maternal and Child Health has established perhaps the largest longitudinal cohort of pregnant women in the world to identify risk factors for adverse pregnancy outcomes.
Maternal and child health is the key determinant of the health of the society. Our important concern is the very high infant and neonatal mortality rates.
Various risk factors have been identified for preterm birth, such as anemia, zinc deficiency, air pollution, and extreme body weight. The center has developed gestational weight gain and fetal growth charts tailored specifically for the Indian population. Artificial intelligence-based ultrasonography is being developed that will help evaluation of pregnancy in remote areas. The findings of multiple studies through the Garbhini platform are likely to inform policy and intervention at the population level to improve birth outcomes. As a part of global team, the center contributed to the Immediate and Continuous Kangaroo Mother Care, or IKMC intervention studies led by WHO. This has now led to change in WHO recommendations for IKMC as treatment for very low birth weight infants. Center for Virus Biology, Therapeutics, and Vaccines. The center is dedicated to understanding biology and pathophysiology of virus infections such as SARS-CoV-2, influenza, dengue, hepatitis E, and HIV. The effort is to develop therapeutics and vaccines against viral infections. THSTI has developed a novel vaccine against SARS-CoV-2, which is now being transferred to industry for further development.
THSTI has received a $12 million grant from the international organization CEPI
in partnership with industry to develop a pan-beta coronavirus vaccine, which is likely to be effective against SARS-CoV-1, SARS-CoV-2, and MERS viruses.
THSTI, in collaboration with European Union, is working to develop next-gen influenza vaccines. Our scientists have discovered 3 repurposed drugs for dengue that are likely to enter into phase 2 and phase 3 clinical trials in the near future. THSTI, in collaboration with IAVI, is working towards designing efficacious antibody interventions.
In collaborations with IAVI, is working towards effective antibody-mediated interventions against HIV and other viral diseases.
With the mission of TB Mukta Bharat, THSTI's consistent efforts over the past several years have led to the generation of molecular tools based on CRISPR technology to study essential genes of mycobacteria. The center has created the largest repository of CRISPR interference mutant strains of Mycobacterium tuberculosis in the country, which have been shared with more than 50 principal investigators all over the world.
The Tuberculosis Research Center is working on new ways to speed up the process of diagnostics and treatment of tuberculosis. We have created the largest repository of CRISPR interference mutant strains of tuberculosis in the country.
Our scientists have developed phenotypic, post-based, and target-based therapeutic molecules.
We have standardized high-throughput screening assays to perform either phenotypic-based, target-based, or macrophage-based screens.
A novel anti-TB molecule, SPR113, has been granted patent rights in many countries, including USA. The researchers have also identified 4 potent small molecules that possess anti-tubercular activity. Center for Immunobiology and Immunotherapy. The center works towards understanding the interplay between effector and regulatory T cells in inflammatory and autoimmune diseases. Their original discovery of Th9 cells has contributed significantly to the field of immunology. The center contributed to the vaccine development against SARS-CoV-2.
The center has contributed significantly for the development of COVID-19 vaccine by establishing 2 critical platforms, one preclinical models, and the second one is the cellular assay platform for human vaccine testing.
The researchers also evaluated Ayush herbal extracts for immunomodulatory properties and report that glycyrrhiza has the potential to boost immune system against COVID-19. Cancer immunology and cancer therapeutics are potential areas of future research focus. Center for Human Microbiome Research and Antimicrobial Resistance. Human microbiome is becoming a major therapeutic area for human health.
The Center for Human Microbiome Research has given new insight into geospecific microbiome signatures. We identified gut microbiota that specific to the Indian populations. In addition, we also identified gut microbiota signature for type 2 diabetes, inflammatory bowel disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and Pitambah.
In addition, it is studying one of the major global health problems, that is antimicrobial resistance or AMR at the molecular level to help develop newer antimicrobials. Center for Drug Design and Discovery. The major focus of this center is to translate findings of disease biology research groups to development of new drug leads for therapeutic development for clinical evaluation. In silico drug designing is a key strategy for preclinical discovery research. The center has state-of-the-art computational tools such as Schrödinger, along with advanced CAD support for new drug design. Medicinal chemistry strength is key to drug development with high-end bioanalytical instrument. The center has identified a drug lead DR62 with established proof of concept study in an animal model of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Center for Biodesign. The Center for Biodesign and Diagnostics, or CBD, is engaged in developing cost-effective, innovative in vitro diagnostics assays with a focus on point-of-care testing. In the last 5 years, the center has generated 7 product leads and successful commercialization of some. The cutting-edge research has led to the establishment of 3 startups by CBD faculty. Computational and Mathematical Biology Center. The Computational and Mathematical Biology Center works on big data analysis, omics research, structural bioinformatics, and mathematical modeling towards systems biology. The center has developed novel in-house software tools such as Connect Pro. Clinical Development Services Agency. Clinical Development Services Agency, CDSA, is an academic clinical research organization for building capacity for clinical research in the country.
Clinical Development Services Agency, a unique center within THSTI, has a mandate to support and nurture clinical drug development and clinical research capacity in the country.
It has completed 25 clinical studies involving large multi-center studies and sites across India. Currently, it is supervising and monitoring 10 multi-center studies, including a large multi-center TB vaccine trial by ICMR. CDSA has supported National Biopharma Mission in establishing 11 demographic health surveillance sites, 5 clinical trial networks, and 36 organizations for capacity building. It is a national monitoring agency for India's first comprehensive national nutrition survey across 28 states. It has started a master's program in MSc in clinical research to build capacity in clinical research in the country. The various centers of THSTI are supported by research resource platforms. Bioassay Laboratory.
THSTI Bioassay Laboratory is a NABL accredited lab. It is globally recognized by Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovation in COVID-19 vaccine development.
It collaborates with many national and international vaccine developers for complex, high-end standardized assays. It was the first lab in India to culture Omicron virus. It has contributed significantly to the licensure of India's first subunit COVID-19 vaccine, Corbevax. Biorepository Facility.
Biorepository at THSTI is a national facility that hosts 1.3 million well-annotated, well-archived biospecimens from patients of different disease states, pregnant women, and neonates.
During the COVID-19 pandemic, the facility supported 18 industries and 49 academia for development of diagnostic assays and COVID-19 related research questions. Biosafety Level 3 Facility. THSTI has perhaps the largest modular BSL-3 facility for virus and bacteria research. During COVID-19 pandemic, THSTI collaborated with various academic and industry partners to evaluate vaccines such as Sputnik V, Corbevax, and Zycov-D. Genome Sequencing Facility. THSTI has a complete sequencing facility with first generation and next generation nucleic acids, DNA and RNA sequencing for human and microbial samples. The sequencing facility significantly contributed in SARS-CoV-2 genome sequencing in the ongoing pandemic. The NGS facility has completed metagenomic sequencing of approximately 3,000 biological samples. Multi-omics facility. THSTI offers a complete omic-based solution with high-end instruments such as Orbitrap, Triple Quad, Triple TOF, and GCMS for identification and quantification of protein, metabolites, and lipids to decipher disease pathophysiology and identify the novel drug targets. Vaccine Design and Development Center. The Vaccine Design and Development Center is a unique facility to accelerate vaccine product development and bridge the gap between academia and industry. The process development unit consists of a 4,500 square feet GMP-like facility with ISO 007 grade clean units with regulatory compliances and quality control processes for the development of new vaccines.
We are currently establishing more translation laboratories for enhanced vaccine discovery and development. And also, very importantly, we are establishing a medical research center, which will be a 50-bedded hospital. I sincerely believe that with the collective efforts of all our faculty and scientists, we should be able to contribute to improving India's health, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and Make in India initiative.
Thank you, sir.
यह हमारे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है कि अपने विचार साझा करने के लिए प्रोफेसर राजेश गोखले, जो कि THSTI के शास्त्रीय निकाय के अध्यक्ष हैं और DBT के सचिव हैं, हमारे साथ वर्चुअली उपस्थित हैं।
I congratulate THSTI fraternity on this occasion of wonderful occasion where all people, we are celebrating the day for which THSTI has contributed over the years now, its inception. I think THSTI has been one of our younger institute, but has rapidly made tremendous amount of impact in the area of medical biotechnology actually in recent times. The resource, people, and ethos, what makes this institution apart from several places. There are very important programs that are and activities that were carried out during the time of COVID, which actually was really gratifying for this country's progress, identifying immune responses, understanding animal challenge models, developing various activities to look at. Other programs like preterm birth and the programs that are involved in tuberculosis and other activities are also substantially gearing up to make important contributions in the area of medical health. What is also very important for THSTI to progress in future is to really continue to grow in this area, make tremendous amount of make research as your passion, and develop and innovate to an extent that makes life impactful to the people of the country eventually. And I think this is a journey, and as institutions grow, people tend to realize their potential, they actually make impact. And I think this is where we all are looking forward to their tremendous contribution of this in recent times to come. It is one of the most gratifying fact that in last decade, THSTI's scientific contributions have been exemplarily looked at from various perspectives. And these are actually taking us to a new levels of scientific endeavors and going to have implementation policies and other activities to be able to look at. I congratulate all the people for their fantastic work, for their tremendous amount of excitement that they are bringing into the Indian ecosystem. And these are going to make transformative changes in the lives of people with eventual to come. Institutions are all about resources, all about people, and all about the ethos. And it's all these things together makes institutions and people that brings value to systems and organizations. I again thank you all of you for taking this opportunity, for coming and presenting yourself to here today.
धन्यवाद महोदया।
We are earnestly waiting to hear the words of wisdom and request our Honorable Minister to deliver the presidential address. I request Professor Jayanta Bhattacharya, Dean, THSTI, to introduce our chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. Thank you.
My dear colleagues, dignitaries, it is indeed our immense pleasure and proud privilege to have our Honorable Minister of Science and Minister of Science and Technology and Art Science, Government of India, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji. A medical degree from Stanley Medical College, Chennai, and MD in Medicine from Government Medical College, Jammu, Dr. Singh has paved his path to become one of the distinguished endocrinologists of our country. His notable research works on stress diabetes in Kashmiri migrants and his contributions towards guidelines for management of diabetes in pregnancy has been highly acclaimed nationally as well as internationally by public health organizations like WHO. From a successful physician, his journey towards the thought leadership core group in the government has been truly exciting and inspiring one. Both in his professional and public life, and particularly in the leadership role as the Honorable Minister, his dedication and determination in the upliftment of the society through science and technology have always been very impressive and will stay as an immense inspiration for the younger generation. Sir, we are earnestly waiting to hear your words of wisdom and request you to please deliver the presidential address. Sir.
Director THSTI, our friend and eminent professor of gastroenterology, Dr. Pramod Garg, members of the faculty, students, ladies and gentlemen. I had tried to very smartly plan my visit today so that I could spend a longer while over here. But in the last moment, something has to come up, so I have to now rush back. Though I must confess that of all the institutes that are associated with the ministry that I am dealing with, this is one which is more closely related to the kind of work that I have been into for several decades. Also closer to my passion and closer to my area of professional work. But before that, I must congratulate you for the new launchings that have happened today. We are going to have about 120 crore worth of new facility. And also because I had been discussing this, and I told last time also, I said to Pramod that we need to have a hospital in the same premises. And I'm glad that we are now moving one step further in that direction. The kind of research that is happening over here has a huge, huge clinical bearing. And therefore, in the kind of an integrated era that we live in, it is in the fitness of things to have all these different avenues located in close proximity to each other. When I said I have decided, I had planned to spend a longer while here, I'm also saying so that I would again sometimes come back because there's not much to share. We are the kind of research that's happening. Besides the vaccines, you are dealing with the gestational diabetes mellitus. You're also dealing with the prevention of type 2 diabetes mellitus. You're also dealing with non-alcoholic liver disease, fatty liver disease. These are some of the areas we have been very actively engaged in our professional work. And in fact, the guidelines recommended by the WHO for the treatment of gestational diabetes mellitus are the ones which were formulated by the group that I belong to, headed by Dr. Seshaya. And while I was listening to this presentation, I made up my mind, because I'm going to be there again on the 9th and 10th for a meeting of this group in Chennai. I'm going to suggest them to get associated with this, because we have now actually moved one step further. We are now from the preventive going on to primordial. So interventions even before the pregnancy occurs. So that occurred to me that we could do value addition to each other's work professionally. And therefore, I look forward to be here coming again, not as a minister, but more as a fellow fraternity member, because there's not much to share and supplement each other. Also because there is an interesting study going on the pregnancy cohort. We could link it with a number of other parameters which are peculiar to the Indian phenotype female. For example, the central obesity, which is notoriously more responsible for causing a number of these metabolic disorders in Indian women compared to the other women, because not only the central obesity is, for example, prevalent at a higher level in India, but the prevalence among males and females is almost equal, which is something usually doesn't happen when we go about doing the statistical analysis. We have a number of studies done where about, for example, if the central obesity in a male was 63, 65, 66%, it was just about 3-4% less in the female population. And that is important because this is a risk factor independent of the overall obesity. In fact, we did a study that also with Dr. Yagnik, who's pioneered the Barker's hypothesis, which is responsible for the intrauterine environment, where we scanned some Western males and also the Oriental ones. And we found that the Western males were apparently very obese. Even when you're sitting in an aircraft, you find uncomfortably you're 2% sitting. Ours are not, but if you scan them, we have a lot of visceral fat, which is itself, that may be the reason why we are more predisposed to these metabolic disorders. And also because the pregnancy itself and also the post-menopausal age group makes the prevalence almost equal, even if the absence of the other factors. There's a lot of many things actually which we could add to what we have been doing at our end to make it richer for the global standards. And I look forward to getting my group linked into this also. I mean, that is as a student of medical research I'm talking. But having said that, I think one important reason for which this institute deserves to be celebrated is that it has done India a huge, huge pride, particularly during the COVID pandemic. So the trials of the first ever DNA vaccine, the trials of the other vaccines were conducted in the four walls of this premises. And not much of it is known outside. I wish in the lab, because last time I went around, this time of course I didn't have enough time, you could put a plaque there. The trial was conducted here, as is done in some of the European labs. If you go to General Hospital Madras, which is the second oldest medical college, the oldest is Calcutta because the Britishers came from that side, set up a presidency college, set up a medical institute, and set up a university, and then went to Madras, which is now known as Chennai. So set up a presidency college there, set up a university there, set up a medical. So it's, I think, about 200 years now. You will come across a lab where you have a small plaque and it will be written, Donovan worked in this lab from this year to this year. He'll come here to work on Kala-Azar, because many of the European researchers were coming to India to work on tropical diseases including tuberculosis. So we could leave some footprints, landmarks of that nature, also naming the scientists. Secondly, also, I think when we are talking of what is happening is that all the trial is done over here, but when you go one step further to make it available to the common population, then naturally it has to go through the manufacturing process, it has to go through an industrial house. The industry gets the credit more than what you should have. So because they make a lot of noise, and rightly so, they are entitled to, because they have to market themselves. They have a huge stake. So if it is Bharat Biotech, if it is Serum Institute, they would be more in the news. And even yesterday, I was just sharing with Pramod. I was sitting with some members of the same fraternity. And when I told them that I was planning to be here next day and about this vaccine success story, they said most of us knew that all the trials were done in Hyderabad. So that is the irony and that is the contradiction. So you have to learn to make some noise from the beginning. And the other remedy to that, solution to that, is that in the age of integration, when we are talking of synergism and a wider synergism, wider integration, we need to also integrate industry. And could we do that right from the beginning? For example, if the policy planners have decided that so and so would be the house which would be then taking up the task of manufacturing the vaccine and also making it available to the market, could we associate them right from the beginning? So we could make them stakeholder right from the beginning. So if they make noise in the orchestra, we would also be there. And that is, I think, because in order to keep up the morale of our young researchers, that's very important, because a lot of hopping around is going on. So many are far then, at some stage feel tempted to go the other side because they too have their R&D wing. So I think the fitness of things, we could have a wider integration. Also, I suggested last time when I met Dr. Pramod, we are having MOUs, of course, with AIIMS, the other institutes, or the related medical institutes as well as the academic institute. Could we institutionalize it further? For example, could we have a thesis? Now, a lot of these trials which are going on over here could be the subject of a postgraduate thesis in a medical institute. Like, for example, you are doing a drug trial on NFL, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You are doing one on tuberculosis, the drug-resistant tuberculosis. Could we have a thesis in pharmacology with a co-guide from here? Because, of course, the guide has to be as per the UGC guidelines from the parent institute. So let them take that privilege, but we could have a co-guide from here. Similarly, in metabolic disorders. Now, what all is being done here is, in fact, very widely being done in the endocrinology departments across the country. So we could even have a DM dissertation with guides from both the institutes. So that will not only integrate us at the research level, but also at the thought level. So they would come here, our boys and girls from here would have the opportunity to go there, and they would also have a feeling of belonging, and they would know what is happening here. Many of them don't know what is happening here, and many of us here don't know what is happening there. And that also avoids overlap. Luckily, you have someone like Pramod Gar, who's originally from AIIMS, so he has that background. Otherwise, sometimes we are replicating or trying to do what is already happening and what is already one stage ahead. In fact, I went to an institute in Varanasi, and the director very enthusiastically told me that our next project is going to be so-and-so. So I thought I'll pat him on the back. But I told him, don't you know, the so-and-so institute somewhere else, I cited the institute's name, is already into this, and they've gone one step further. So if we integrate, we would also know where we stand. Sometimes we overestimate ourselves, sometimes we underestimate. And so integration with the industry right from the beginning, and integration with other academic institutes, not only limited to the MOUs or the working, but to the serious research institutionalized on paper. And then, of course, the video. In fact, when I came here last time, I said you should showcase yourself, and I'm glad Pramod told me you said video, we have prepared a video. But I think we now have to go one step further. We have to have small clippings. Nobody has time to watch this video. So you have a 1-minute clipping on DNA vaccine. You have 1-minute clipping on the nasal. And you have a 1.5-1-minute clipping on diabetes. And also diabetes in pregnancy. And you will find the response. If you are able to tell them what you are doing, how much it is relevant to them, because now India virtually being the diabetes capital of the world. And if we have to break that generation to generation chain happening, we'll have to intervene at the pregnancy or maybe in the pre-pregnancy level. In fact, I have been a deep researcher into this. I've gone to the extent of saying that instead of matching your horoscopes, match the respective family histories. Because if one parent is type 2, your chances are 50% or so. 2 parents is more than 60. If the sibling, then up to 90%. And in the pregnancy, what is important is that you give a milieu, intrauterine milieu to the fetus, so that it never realizes that mother has or is suffering from diabetes mellitus. So that kind of physiological milieu, if you are able to recreate, then actually you are able to reach that goal or achieve that goal. Because otherwise, short of that, if you carry on doing that, it doesn't help. You will always leave the offspring with certain amount of predisposition to develop type 2 diabetes mellitus in later years, maybe earlier than his or her peers. So you have to be the parameters are different. The glycemic control has to be very tight at the risk of hypoglycemia. And that is why you need a hospital. Because all these trials on pregnant women with type 2 diabetes mellitus call for a very, very, very strict, and to some of the hardcore or radical researchers like me, we would say, I don't mind if in 9 months a woman undergoes 9 bouts of hypoglycemia, as long as I am able to deliver an offspring which is born without realizing that his mother ever had. But if you are able to do that kind of a radical research, you need to have a hospital. So I'm glad that we have been able to fulfill that gap which was over here. And in the years to come, I'm sure we would expand this facility so that we could further enlarge our activity and would have a more liberal hand in carrying out the things as we look forward to do. The faculty issue was discussed by the director. We would soon try to make up for that. And yeah, so whenever you link your research with livelihood, it claps. So that is why I said bring industry right from the beginning. Otherwise, many of your faculty may also walk out because there's a huge temptation in the private sector. And they also have very strong R&D wings. I'm also looking forward to such bright boys and girls and bright brains. So we would, for the timing, as long as the new recruitment is pending, we would try to shift from the other places also. And to make it more lucrative, also try to bring in startups. Startups who work in an atmosphere of synergy between research, academics, livelihood, and industry. All of them equally integrated right from the beginning, so that it's a sustainable startup, a sustainable research. And translational research is the research which could be applied in our clinical working. And that's only possible when we closely integrate. We have a huge number of groups dealing in metabolic disorders, particularly in South India, even in the private sector. We have Mohan's group there. So since I'm associated with most of them, we would also like to, I will also make a conscious effort to get them integrated, because this is one of the most pioneer institutes, at least in the government sector, And therefore, we need to move on together for better outcomes as we move forward. I'm sure, as Rajesh was saying, this is an institute which is young, of course, but it has lot much to celebrate. And therefore, I'm glad I'm here. I'll look forward to be here. He said you come here for the inauguration, regardless of that, because ministers are not sure of tomorrow, but I will come back as a researcher. I will, because that is the task I have been doing all my life. And we actually look forward hunting where we could, add value to our research. So we're being deep into diabetes research. I'm sure this is one destination which I will always be looking forward for the rest of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now, may we request Professor Pramod Gar to felicitate our Honorable Minister with the shawl and memento. Thank you, sir. Now, we request Professor Amit Awasthi, Senior Professor at THSTI, to deliver the vote of thanks.
Namaste. On behalf of DVT THSTI, we would like to express our gratitude to our Honorable Minister, Dr. Jitendra Singh ji, for his gracious visit today, his encouraging word, unwavering support. Thank you so much, sir. We would like to thank Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, Secretary, Department of Biotechnology, for his constant guidance and support. We thank all the respected dignitaries from Faridabad administration and DVT and our governing body members. On heartfelt thanks to all our mentors and collaborators. Lastly, on behalf of organizing committee, I thank the entire THSTI family who worked relentlessly to make this program a grand success. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, sir. Now we have come to the end of our celebration. May we all request all of you to stand up for the national anthem.